Hey guys and girls, how's it going? So today I'd like to talk about the new Splatoon game. So this is my review of Splatoon. This game came out on the 29th of May. It actually convinced me to go ahead and part with my cash and buy a WiiU. I've been playing it pretty much non-stop since. So these are my thoughts on the game. So let's cover the good, the bad, and my overall thoughts. So let's start with the good. So in Splatoon, one of the best parts of the game is that there are actually a variety of gameplay modes. You have a single player story, which basically covers your main character plays through a storyline in which a zapfish, which powers the city of Inkopolis, has been kidnapped by the main enemies, the Octo something. And basically the main storyline, it's got similar aspects to Mario in that there are 5 different worlds and 30 levels in total, and you will basically play through all of these different levels, and at the end of each sort of world there is a boss that you will fight. So there are 5 bosses within this game. Now the gameplay for the single player story is a combination of a platformer and a third person shooter. You have a variety of different enemies that do provide a pretty good level of challenge. There are also collectibles within these worlds. You collect these scrolls which tell you a little bit more story about the world and the lore and that sort of thing, which is really, really cool. So it is very, very similar. It does feel very similar to Mario in the way that these things sort of happen. You know, there are hidden scrolls and hidden things, very similar to the stars. So yeah, there are power-ups that you get as you play through the main single player mission. Again, very, very similar to Mario. So it does feel very similar, very familiar. However, it's different and unique enough that it actually feels fresh and different, and there's a good level of detail within the single player story. 30 levels is a pretty good length, although I do know that Dante did wish that there were a few more levels in the single player. One of the things that does give you a little bit more replayability in that single player story, however, are the amiibos. So at the moment there are 3 different amiibo characters. There's a female ink girl, an ink boy, and also the actual squid. Now each of these characters will have their own challenges which they give to you. So in my case, I bought the ink girl amiibo, and her challenge is to use a special kind of sniper weapon and to replay all of the levels only using the sniper. Now that does provide quite a nice level of challenge and difficulty to the game. In some ways, however, it was a lot easier. Definitely when I was taking on the first boss, I was just poning him. I was just using my sniper, and in that way it felt very, very cheap. However, the good thing with the amiibos is that there are a lot of rewards that come with that. So if you complete each of these level challenges, you get cash, you get money which you can spend in the world, to buy equipment and t-shirts and that sort of thing, and weapons. And also you do get unique amiibo gear which you can equip onto your character. If you're interested in multiplayer gaming and local multiplayer, there is a 1 versus 1 dojo which you can play in, but basically what this is it's a balloon free-for-all. So player 1 plays on the WiiU gamepad that you have, and player 2 can play with either the Wii remote and motion controls, or use things like a pro gamepad or a GameCube. If you've got the GameCube adapter, you can use that as well. I will say, however, it is a lot of fun, but if you are the second player, you're not so much playing with those motion controls, you're using a Wii Pro remote controller. It is a little unbalanced, it is a little uneven, and the person with the Wii U gamepad definitely has an advantage. So that certainly adds more challenge to it. Also, the fact that it is only 1 player versus 1 player does make it very, very limited. I see no reason why it can't be up to 4 player local and just have it split screen. I don't see that there's any reason that you can't have that. Hell, you could have 5 player multiplayer, 5 player versus, simply because one person's playing on the gamepad and looking at the gamepad, and the other 4 players can play split screen on the TV. So it could be up to potentially 5 player, and I would like to see that in the future, possibly, if Nintendo bring in any sort of game updates or DLC content, that sort of thing. But the main meat and bones of this game is the 8-player multiplayer. That is the bread and butter of Splatoon, and it is that element of the game that brings you back time and time again, that makes you play this game regularly every night, and that keeps you entertained and keeps you coming back. Now, it's basically a 4 versus 4 third-person shooter game system. There are basically 2 kinds of battles at the moment that you have. You have the regular battle and the ranked battle. Now, the ranked battle is only unlocked when you get to level 10, and that's when you're really playing a lot more competitively online, and you get more experience from that, you get more money, and also you get more reputation. Now, if you play well, your reputation will go up and the rewards will be much greater. But if you play badly and you start losing those matches, then you are punished quite severely. There's also the regular battle for those of you that just want to play this game casually, that just want to jump in and have a fun game. There are regular battles. Now, they're mostly just turf war at the moment, which is basically where you have both sides trying to cover as much of the area as possible to win the game. Now, the thing I like about Splatoon is it's very enjoyable because it's not like your typical shooter games. It's not about killing the opponents, killing the enemy. Yeah, it's fun when you splat the opponent, but that is not the main objective. This is not Call of Duty. It's more about working as a team. It's about covering the areas, being, strategic and territorial, and that's the side of the game that I really like. Now, the games are very, very short, only about 3 minutes in length, but I like that. I find that very, very enjoyable. A game can shift very, very quickly. Hell, in 30 seconds, you can go from dominating the other team to losing horribly. Those 3-minute games are fast, fun, and just highly enjoyable, and that does mean that you do get to play a lot of back-to-back different games. Now, I will say that the servers so far have been great. There's only been the odd occasion when I've lost connection. It's only happened a few times, and only a few times has there been a little bit of lag, but that's sort of to be expected with a new online game. But ultimately, overall, the servers have been very, very consistent and very stable and great. The lobbies are also good. They do fill up very, very, very quickly, which is good. You're not having to wait much in between games. As soon as you hit that continue button, literally a lobby will fill up within about 5 or 10 seconds, and you'll be straight back into another game. So the lobbies so far are great. We're not having issues like we had with Batman Arkham Origins, where you were really struggling to find people to play with. That is not an issue here, and it's possibly a sign that Splatoon is incredibly popular because there's a lot of people out there playing it. Now, the controls in the multiplayer are very good. You use the WiiU gamepad and the gyroscope in it, and the motion controls, while a little tricky at first, and they do require a little bit of customization, which you can do. You can adjust the sensitivity of those motion controls. My ideal is about -4, and the controls are great. The gyroscope is good. The weapons are also a lot of fun. There are so many different kinds of weapons within this game, which is fantastic. They're fun and they feel very, very different. And that brings me to the second main thing in Splatoon, which is fantastic, which is the customization, the level of customization in this game. There are tons of weapons, gear, abilities. Now, each of these abilities are unique to the gear that you buy. You can also have different tiers of equipment, so you go from 1 star right up to 3 star. And that's really, really cool. What I would say is a lot of the abilities that you do have, sometimes it's a little confusing, it's a little unclear how they work. Also, a lot of the time as well, when you get an ability, so when you get a piece of equipment, you start off with a main ability, and then you have maybe 2 or 3 question marks at the bottom, which are other abilities that you can unlock later on through leveling up your character. Now, these are completely randomized and randomly generated, and unfortunately because of that randomization, you do sometimes get duplicates, which is incredibly frustrating, and it is unclear whether these duplicates stack, what happens with that. So yeah, the abilities, while there is like a little sort of information thing about it, they're not super clear, but there's enough variety of them to make them interesting at least. And yeah, the weapons and gear are great. Now as well, the community is pretty good. You can sort of post things on the Miiverse. When you go to Inkopolis, into the main sort of area where all the shops are and all the main game modes are, you can actually inspect other characters within that world and have a look at the gear that they have available, which is fantastic. And even, you know, when you inspect them, you actually have the ability to order the gear that they have. So you can look at something and go, oh, that looks really, really cool, I'd love to have that on my character, and you can actually get that ordered, and another NPC in the world called Spike will order those for you. He won't necessarily get the same abilities, but he will get the same kind of looking gear, and that's really cool. So yeah, you do have that ability as well. You can like other people's posts on the Miiverse and comment on those and everything. So there's a pretty good community building around Splatoon at the moment. And another really cool feature is any art on the Miiverse is kind of being shown within the world. It's that you actually have graffiti walls, which are basically people's actual Miiverse posts and the art that they put up on there, which is really, really cool. Now, those are the good points. Now, there are a lot of bad points. This is a new game, and therefore there are a lot of issues that haven't really been thought about or ironed out. And I think that's clearly an indication that Nintendo are still a little bit naive when it comes to online gaming. Now, one of the key things, the first things that really bugged me in this game was the lack of customization that existed in the beginning. You can only choose to play as a boy or a girl, and there is a limited selection in choosing that character and customizing that character. Now, I think that's because I've been spoiled. I've been spoiled by things like Dragon Age Inquisition, where I can go in and really customize my character. You can't really do that much in Splatoon. All you can do basically is change your skin color or your eye color. There's a lack of variety in terms of faces and also hairstyles. I would have liked to have seen a lot more different hairstyles that make your character look more unique, other than just buying gear and equipment and clothing that makes them look different. Now, as well with the multiplayer, there are a lot of issues, I think, with the multiplayer. One of the major limitations is there is a lack of chat. Now, that for me is a massive missing element to this game. I understand a little bit why Nintendo might put restrictions on that. At the moment, all you can do is you can only give 2 instructions. You can either say nice, which is like good job or well done, or you can call people to your location. You say, to me, come to me, and you do that by pressing the up and the down button on the directional pad. Now, as I said, I can understand why Nintendo might be concerned. They might be worried that sort of getting sort of drawn into this kind of Call of Duty world or community where people are notorious for throwing abuse at each other and calling each other names, and it does create this very, very negative vibe, which I can understand Nintendo not wanting to have, especially with them being a family orientated and child orientated company. However, there being a lack of ability to talk between your friends, I think that's a huge problem, especially when it is such a cooperative style game. What I would like to see is the ability to create your own party of friends, 4 people where you're together, and have party chat where you can talk with your friends and coordinate with your friends and chat as you're playing, and that's really fun. At the moment, whenever I'm playing with my friends, we're having to boot up Skype to be able to chat, and that can sometimes affect your internet and also affect the servers, and that's a problem. So I would like to see the introduction of party chat. I don't see any particular problem with that. I can't see you shouting. Yeah, you might tease your friends, but you're not going to be shouting the same kind of abuse that you would against people that you don't know. There's also a huge difficulty when it comes to joining your friends when they're in the middle of games. Sometimes you'll try to join them, but their lobby will fill very, very quickly, so you will have to wait for a space to open up within their lobby to be able to join. You're unable to join your friend before then going into a public lobby, and that's a big oversight and a big problem with the game. Sometimes you can be left waiting for your friend to stop finishing playing their game. You might be waiting 3 or 4 minutes for that to happen. So something that would make that a little bit better, a little bit more sort of manageable, is not necessarily just only having mini games, which they do have on the gamepad, but also having a spectator mode, which is similar to what they have in Mario Kart, where you can actually watch the team that you're going to be joining. You can watch people play, and you can sort of enjoy that, and even maybe just watch other people play rather than just seeing a green screen, which doesn't really do anything. Also, the sides are very randomly selected, and that means if you're trying to join a friend, sometimes you can go 5 or 6 games on opposite teams before you actually get to play together, which can be very, very, very frustrating. There's an inability as well within lobbies. There's an inability to actually leave them while they are being filled. So say if you clicked the continue button but actually you changed your mind and you wanted to jump out, you can't do that. You are locked into playing another game, which is an issue, which is definitely a problem. As well, in the lobbies as well, there's an inability to check or change your equipment when in that lobby. So if you want to change the gear that you've got, but you like the people that you're playing with, but you want to change your equipment, you've got to drop out of that lobby, and then the chances are that you're not going to get to jump in back with them unless they're on your friendship list. So that's a big problem, having to drop out of the lobby to check your equipment and your gear. I think it'd also be really, really, really nice to be able to have a look at the other gear that the other people in that team in that lobby have as well. Just so you've got a better idea of what they're equipping and apart from just what level they're at. Finally, the max that you can level out in Splatoon is level 20. Now, at the moment, I feel that is too low a level to be able to max out at. So who knows, maybe in future DLC content, they are going to increase that level cap. I can see that happening, but at the moment, level 20 is definitely too low for that. So overall, Splatoon is a very, very enjoyable game. One great thing with it as well is if you buy it right now, Nintendo are always bringing out new content, new DLC. Since the game came out on the 29th of May, we've had several new DLC packs that have come out with it, new downloads, including new maps, new weapons, new game modes, and all of it is completely free. So that's great. Basically, the basic structure of Splatoon is very good, and it seems like Nintendo are going to be adding a lot onto it in the coming year to really build it up and to really flesh it out. So overall, Splatoon is a very, very enjoyable game. There's still some problems in terms of the multiplayer, and again, that shows the naivety, the lack of experience that Nintendo has when it comes to cooperative, multiplayer. Hopefully these are going to be things that they're going to learn on and that they're going to build on and that they're going to improve on. But overall, I would say Splatoon is a very good game. I highly recommend that you go out and play it. I actually think it's worth buying a Wii U just for Splatoon. So yeah, overall I would probably give Splatoon, I'd say a 7 out of 10, and the only reason for that is because of the limitations in terms of the multiplayer, party chat and joining your friends. Those things do kind of irritate me, but overall it's very enjoyable. The gameplay is fun. It's something new, it's something different, and I hope to see a lot more games like this from Nintendo in the coming year. Alright guys and girls, well, what do you guys think of Splatoon? If you've played it, let me know what you think of the game in the comment section below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it, if you found it interesting. Take care, and as always, happy gaming!